Today's meeting of the Municipal Code Enforcement Board is called to order on November 16th, 2022. Welcome, everyone. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Agendas of today's meeting are on the wall at the entrance of the chambers. Please remember to turn off your cell phones. The Municipal Code Enforcement Board consists of 7 members who are appointed by the City Council. We serve voluntarily. It is this board's intention to promote, protect, and improve the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Clearwater by providing this equitable, effective, and inexpensive method of enforcing certain codes within the city. The board considers new business items in 2 parts. First, the violation, and then affirmative relief. Formal rules of evidence do not apply. Each side is limited to 15 minutes. The board may grant additional time. All proceedings will be conducted in a calm, civil manner. Individuals who conduct themselves otherwise will be asked to leave. If necessary, they will be escorted from the chambers. Now I ask all who plan to speak to please rise and be sworn in by the clerk.
Please swear or affirm to tell the truth throughout your entire testimony.
I do.
Our first order of business is to review and approve the minutes of last month's meeting. May I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion approved.
I'll make a motion. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Minutes are approved. Is there anyone here to speak to items not on the agenda? Please step to the podium. Will you state your name and address for the record?
Fiorella Nikovic. You need my home address or the address of the property? Fiorella, Fiorella, sorry. Nikovic, Nicovic. And do you need
address?
Thank you. 1701 Emerald Avenue, Clearwater, Florida, 33756.
Mark Nikovic, 1457 South Missouri, Clearwater, Florida.
Okay.
We're here for apartments that my parents own, 511 Phoenix Avenue. We had until October 23rd to have a permit pulled for the stairs to be fixed, and by November 24th for the stairs to be repaired. We had hired another contractor to get the permit pulled. There was architectural drawings pulled that the guy needed to have switched over to his name. Apparently he's had the drawings resent to him 3 times now with the incorrect name on it. So we're waiting on that. Due to that, we missed the permit being pulled back in October.
We missed the permit being pulled because I accidentally thought I had paid to get it pulled already. Because when the architect called me, he told me that I had to, it was $350 to change the name. And he was talking to change the name of the architect from the people who never did the job that we paid them for to his name. I just thought it was to change the permit. So I went to do it. They said that he had to open up a case. He eventually opened up the case. I went and paid the $350, and I thought, that's it. I even said, thank God we made one of the things that we have to get done. But as it went along and he wasn't able to get the plans in his name, I called up Jason Contrell, who was our inspector, and I asked him, I said, can we get an extension on the stairs because this is what's happened? And he says, well, the problem is that you missed the permit. I said, no, I didn't. I went and I paid the $350 and that's done. He goes, that wasn't for a permit. So now we're in default of not getting the permit done, even though I thought we did. And we're not going to get the stairs done by the November 20th.
I remember this was like the quadruplex that had the 2
Yes,
stairs on the
yes,
outside.
yes. So we're here again because I know we're not going to meet the deadline for the 24th because he still hasn't gotten the
Permit issued in
plans.
his name.
No, the plans.
Well, that's it.
Yeah, and the permit.
drawings.
Yeah.
If this is an active case, are we, you're worried the fines are going to start accruing on the 24th, correct? Is that the issue?
I'm worried in general. I'm worried because I don't know what's going to happen if these stairs don't get done on the day they're supposed to be done, and the fact that we missed the permit date because I thought we had gotten one.
So is the permit done yet or no?
No, because I just found out
What
I
did you
didn't.
pay the $350 for? Just
The
curious.
$350 was to change the name of the architect?
No, the old contractor into the new contractor's name.
Right, thank you, that's right.
And
The
apparently,
old-
he's gotten them back 3 different times, and
Right.
it's not his name on the paperwork, which I guess he has to submit to the city before he can get a permit, is what he
We
was
had
telling
to
us.
switch, because the people we originally paid to do the work never came, never showed up, just disappeared. And so we hired someone else to do the work. So we had to he was going to use the plans that were already there. So I had to pay the $350, which I was thinking just to get his name put on the old permit.
She thought he was going to switch everything over essentially, but I guess that's not the case.
Wasn't there an attorney involved in this?
No.
No attorney.
Board, if I may, I'm sorry, my mic is very loud actually, so I'm gonna stand over here. I represent the city, I know most of you I've met, I haven't. So we're in the process of kind of changing the process of what we've done in the past with negotiating liens or stipulations for extension. So what we are intending to in the future do is have these types of items come back to you all, for you all to make a decision, whether it be an extension of something or a reduction of lien. So in this particular case, since this isn't something that we knew about in advance and you don't have the additional information to look up what exactly happened last time, things like that, if someone's or if you all as a group are agreeable to listening to their request for an extension, what I would suggest is that you ask that it be added to the agenda next month, and that you all can then at that point make the decision about this then. So, but that's up to the board if you're willing.
But then how does that affect them in their status now then?
So I think that it would just be that it's on hold pending that hearing.
Okay. Are you okay with that?
1st of December,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, the 21st of December is already been scheduled. Jason told me that when I called him, because I didn't know anything. I had no idea. You know, if I hadn't called him,
Yeah.
you know. But now, what happens if, say, between now and next month, he gets the things in his name? Can we pull a permit, or do we have to wait now to speak to you guys until next month?
I would say pull a permit as soon as you are able to pull
Okay.
a permit,
Right.
because that was the requirement of.
Right,
the case.
I know, and like I said, I thought I had, but I guess I didn't. It was the wrong name change I was thinking of.
Are you here to speak on this case?
Yeah, if I can.
It's up to the
Yeah, I'm Kevin Garrett, I'm the
Nicovics.
building official for City of Clearwater.
Okay.
And so I would say if these folks are in the middle of trying to get things worked out for their permit, change of contractors, whatever, that, that's more what we would support rather than we're not here to find people who are trying to get the thing done and get it done correctly. So I'd just like to voice our support for their reasonable requests, whatever that is.
Yeah, I would think that all of us up here would, obviously they think they're doing the right thing, so we would obviously agree with that also.
I'll give you the name of the new
It's just,
contract.
I think that we might be better to just do as advised and push it on to next month so that we all can be on the same page, as long as I know you're not being penalized in the meantime.
The affidavit of noncompliance would have to be filed and you accept it prior to the fines beginning to accrue. So at this
Okay.
point, that's not on the table, so that won't be happening
Okay.
between now and
And
then.
you're just gonna keep working toward those goals and
Yeah.
then
Right,
come
yeah.
back and give us a status update on the 21st?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
If I can ask, the people who live upstairs, do they still have access?
There's nobody
There's nobody,
upstairs.
we moved them out over a year ago, thinking that these stairs would have been done a long time ago.
Okay, and the
Wow.
stairs again are blocked off?
Yes, yes.
taped off
They're
and-
taped off.
Caution tape and everything.
Is there anyone still storing anything there?
What's that?
Story,
Isn't there one of your?
There was a lady there, but she had removed everything before the last storm came through.
yeah. Yeah, so, yeah,
Literally 2 apartments are just
are sitting there
sitting
empty.
there.
Just sitting, okay.
Okay, well, we're not making a motion on this or anything because this is not on the agenda, but
Right.
is everybody in agreement?
Yeah,
And you're
we're-
gonna keep working toward this?
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay, and then we'll
Absolutely.
see you again in December.
Yes, ma'am.
December.
Thank
Okay,
you.
for the date that was originally
21st.
scheduled.
Yes.
No, I'm just
Thank you.
asking.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming down
Thank
here
you.
tonight.
All right, anyone else here to speak for items not on the agenda? Hello.
Hello, good afternoon. I just wanted to take a moment to introduce our new code enforcement supervisor, Sarah Green. She's only been here a couple weeks, so she's still getting her bearings, but this is her first meeting. I wanted you guys to get an introduction, and you'll get more familiar with her as she gets brought up to speed.
Welcome, Sarah.
Hi,
Thank you for
Sarah.
serving.
Hi, thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thanks, everyone. Anyone else for items not on the agenda? Yes. Please state your name and address.
I was here last week for a code enforcement thing, Mary M. Jones, and I was given, November 28th to get the permit, which shouldn't be a problem, but I'm going through similar things that this couple just said they were going through. I don't anticipate a disaster, but I should have asked for a little bit more time when I was here, but I didn't think of it. But I'm just here to state that I might be running into delays. That can easily enough be done quickly, but I had wanted someone else to pull it, but I can do it too.
Yeah.
And another barrier I have is that the new homeowner behind me, when the fire happened, and we still don't know how it happened, he was very aggressive, and he goes, I want this garage down to the ground in a week, and by the way, you're going to sell me your property today. And I said, no, I'm not. And his fence got melted, damaged, 3 panels. He's got a very big bull mastiff dog, and every time I'm working on that site, let's say on a ladder, that thing lunges at me, and quite frankly, I'm afraid of the dog. And he hasn't done anything to put his fence back up, so it looks like I'll be forced to buy the 3 vinyl panels, put them up, just maybe it's $300, just so I will be safe and my guys will be safe. And that's another thing that secretly that I've really been worried about most of all, is the dog, so.
Are you scheduled to return for an update in December?
No, I'm not, but I would like to be.
Normally what you have done in the past in these situations is had the individual work with the city directly, and it only comes to you if there's an issue that they can't work out.
Yeah.
Because you're not, this board doesn't really keep the day-to-day jurisdiction of these matters.
Yeah.
So as long as you work with the inspector, that everything's fine until we hear something from the city.
Yeah, and he did explain that very nicely to me.
Ms. Jones, you know
Jason
your
was
inspector?
awesome.
Jason's your inspector?
Yeah, I
Mr. Mitchell?
talked to him,
Okay.
and he even mentioned that it would be a good idea for me to touch base with you today.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you coming in.
For the record.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming in, and hopefully
Well, thank you
everything
for your
moves along.
support.
And stay in touch with me.
This board is a lot better than the one I dealt with in 2012.
That's what we like to hear. Thank you, Ms. Jones.
Thank you.
Anyone else here to speak to items not on the agenda? Going once, going twice. Okay, next on the agenda are the new business items. Okay, this is a continuance. Case 75-22, finds respondents Clearwater Homes LLC at 1476 Pierce Street in violation of code for residential grass parking. Is there anyone here to speak to this case?
Hi,
Hello, your name and
my name is
address?
Stefan Koenig, 1528 Walnut Street, Clearwater,
Could you spell your last name for me?
Koenig. And I'm the manager of Clearwater Homes LLC.
Okay, thank you. And do you admit the violation, Mr. Koenig?
No.
Okay. So do we want to have a motion on the violation?
Yeah. Normal one, I move to find the respondent in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And then, do you want to speak, or do we want to let staff speak first?
I would say if you can have we would request the inspector.
I think that's best.
Thank you.
Hello, Board. Good afternoon. Daniel Kasman, Code Enforcement Inspector for the City of Clearwater. This is case number 75-22 for 1476 Pierce Street. There's one violation here for Code Section 3-1407A5 for grass parking. This is the date, the notice of violation, the compliance date, the certified mail receipt was received, and 2 notice of hearings were posted at the property for last month's and this month's hearing. This is 1476 Pierce Street. This was back in June of this year. I noticed there was no parking surfaces at this location, and there was a vehicle parked improperly in the yard. Notice was sent out. This was the next month, in July 11th. The same vehicle was parked in the yard. Again, in August, same vehicle in the yard. In September, there were now 2 vehicles being parked in the yard there. And this was back in October. Around this time, I had posted the property for October's hearing, and I had spoken with the tenant at the location and explained what grass parking meant and what the issues were. And he could utilize street parking in that area, but until there was a parking surface at the property, there would be no parking allowed on the actual property itself.
But there is street parking there.
Yes. I mean, there is, as far as I've seen, there's no parking signs in the street as long as you don't block anyone's driveway. As long as you stay 30 feet away from all intersections, you're allowed to park in the street on that Pierce Street area. This was the 21st. Every vehicle, seemed like it was better, but then I went back 5 days later, and then they were parking the SUV back again in the yard. This is the notice of hearing for today's hearing, and that time they were parking in the yard. I went back on the 7th of this month, they were still there, and then the 16th, they're back in the yard again. I tried to see, maybe they thought there was some surface, but it's just a carpet and some remaining asphalt.
So
Any
carpet
questions?
is not enough?
It needs to be a real impervious surface there, either concrete, pavers, or asphalt, and in that case, the simplest solution is just for the tenant to park on the street. I did speak with the tenant on one day. They explained that one of the vehicles was being sold very soon, and I told him you can't sell vehicles from the right-of-way, so that would be all right. For now, looks like he ended up selling it pretty quickly, and then I thought we were on the same page for the grass parking, but I guess that wasn't the case with the tenant. Maybe the owner would like to speak to that, unless anyone else has any further questions.
Is that an attached garage? At one time, was that an attached garage?
I'm not exactly sure back in the day. There's a few, I have another property on the street, which I'm also trying to get them to build a driveway there so they can have parking, otherwise they also have to just utilize street parking.
I presume you need a permit to have a driveway. Okay.
Yes, you do. Any further questions?
So it looks like there was asphalt. Did it erode away or something?
Possibly. When I look at some of the photos, it doesn't seem like there was ever something that complete, but maybe the photos in Google just don't go far back enough for me to see what it looked like back in the 90s and the 80s.
There's no permitted driveway. Your recommendations?
Do you want to hear from the homeowner first?
Pardon me. Mr. Koenig,
Yes.
do you have any plans to address this?
Well, first of all, I would like to thank you. I was supposed to be here last month. Actually, 2 months ago, then we had the hurricane, and last month I was on a cruise, so thank you very much for postponing this. We were contacted. I mean, I own about 100 properties in Clearwater. You've never seen me because we always take really good care. So I was contacted by the code enforcement, I think it was in June, and at that time we were talking, I called them up and talked to them about that we can't park on the grass. I have to admit, it was my misunderstanding. I thought we have a driveway, and I have pictures here that clearly show that there is asphalt. So, and yes, at one point in the past, a long time ago, there was a carport. So people were driving through the yard on the asphalt into the carport. And that's why we informed the tenant that only one car can park there and not 2. So then when we were informed by the city a few months later that, hey, it's still a violation, you can't do that, we agreed that we would file a permit, and I had companies out there that quoted us on making this a proper driveway again. Unfortunately, Mark Perry from the city of Clearwater finally informed us that we cannot get a permit for a driveway because the zoning has changed and we're not allowed to have driveways in front of the properties. I would say 60% of the houses on that street have a driveway and they're grandfathered in, but we're one of them that has a driveway, but it cannot legally be a driveway anymore. So we told the tenant, who is a month-to-month tenant, that he needs to stop all parking, and he gave us in writing that he doesn't park there anymore. And I just a minute ago, after I heard this, I texted with him again, and he said that he spoke to the code enforcement officer because it's correct, he had 2 cars, he was going to sell one, and that was before the first supposed hearing in, must have been September at that time, that about a few days before that he spoke with him and that he told him clearly he only has 10 days after the hearing, otherwise the car needs to be gone. What happened is that he had parked on the street and he got a threatening note on the car that if he doesn't remove it, he's going to be in trouble. So by now he's not parking there anymore, but that's the whole situation where we're in.
Who left the note?
Somebody who said that he cannot park in front of other people's houses.
It's not signed? The note?
It's signed with, again, 24 hours, exclamation mark, exclamation mark.
Do you have documentation from the city regarding your correspondence that you were not allowed to put a driveway?
I have an email from Mark Perry. If you would want to see it, it would take a few minutes to find it. I could find it.
No, it's okay. I mean, the case is regarding the grass purge,
Yeah, I know.
not the permit. But
I know. See, I really have zero problem complying with the city. That's not my point. My point is, I did all my best efforts to do that. We immediately told the tenant, and they are good tenants. It's I would say 25-year young man with his 80-year-old mother that lived there, and they have been nothing but nice so far. And so, I mean, I don't know. I think I did my best efforts to comply with what's needed here. You know, I don't want to be in trouble here.
So it's a single-family home,
Yes.
and you want to put in the driveway to do the right thing, but yet it's not zoned to allow
No.
for a driveway anymore?
No, that because this area there is in redevelopment, they don't want cars to park in front of houses anymore. And I mean, like as I said, 60% of the neighbors have a grandfathered in driveway, but we cannot get one anymore. And again, I have pictures that clearly show there's asphalt there. And there was a driveway because this was I mean, if you go back in the city records, you find that this was an enclosed porch.
Yeah, it's like you can't
there
win either way.
is there anyone from
Like
the
it's
city
a
that can
single-family home, right? You should be able to have a driveway to park in the driveway. So that sounds weird to me.
And that's why you never saw a second car there again, because we were assuming that one car is okay, the second car on the grass is not okay. That was how we got into this, right?
You're stuck.
You can't win either way.
No,
The neighbor's gonna get mad if he parks on the street,
It's up to your tenant, and he's stuck because he can't park out on the street.
which he technically can, but somebody's leaving him love notes.
yeah, and I brought this, so, I mean, I can tell you what I would have done, when I would have gotten a note like this, I would have immediately called the police.
Yeah.
But that's what I would do, right? When I told him that if it's okay that I call the police, he said, oh, please, I don't want any trouble with my neighbors, so.
Yeah.
And there's no one from
This is a pickle.
And a pickle.
engineering or anyone can speak to.
All right. This is live? Okay. Rebecca Mulder, Code Enforcement. As far as the zoning rejection from Mark Perry, my recommendation at this time, without anyone here that knows specifics on this application that you put in, would be to get back with him to get some more specifications, or if there is any alternatives that you can go through, or any request for a variance that you can go through. Possible, may not be possible, but that would be my recommendation as far as that portion of this, as nobody is here to speak on that particular subject matter. We were just here for the grass parking portion.
Yeah, of course.
Well, do we want to hear Daniel's recommendation that we can vote, and perhaps we're not going to find, perhaps we're just going to extend this until he gets further clarification?
I would say extend it. Okay.
See, I don't mind getting fined or getting something filed if I clearly did something wrong, but here I've really put a lot of effort into this to get this resolved. And the only other solution that we have at this point is to put up a fence, small one, if we get that permitted.
Better get a permit for that.
To prevent the tenant from even entering the property, right?
Okay.
He said he was allowed to go on it to wash the car. I don't know if that's true, but apparently you said that to him. I mean, I understand the tenant can make up a lot of things.
I think you are allowed to have the vehicles and the boats in the yard for a certain amount of time to wash them.
But you say he's been a good tenant. Been
Oh,
there quite a while.
yes.
Yeah, so you don't want to.
I mean, as far as, I mean, the house is in good condition, they pay the rent on time, I've never had trouble with them. And then there's a criminal situation in the neighboring house, he filed a complaint about that. Usually you wouldn't do that if you're not interested in your neighbor.
Well, what you need to do is what
Yeah.
Ms. Muller just recommended, try to get a variant.
Yes, and I will definitely do that,
That's your best hope.
yeah.
And you probably
Hi, Lauren Matzke, Planning and Development. As Ms. Mulder said, normally I would be prepared to speak to this, but I wasn't. It was grass parking and I wasn't prepared. In our downtown district, there are a number of areas where we no longer allow parking in front of units. I know, generally speaking, when there's, pre-existing parking, we allow repair and maintenance. I don't have any of the facts on this case. So, Mark Perry and I work closely together during those times, but this one's not ringing a bell. I just want to make sure it's clear, our codes don't allow variances. We don't have the same type of code structure as other municipalities in that regard. So, we can look at that further. Mark is not in the office today, so I wouldn't be able to talk with him anyway at this point in time to find out more information.
So he can't be grandfathered.
And why would a
Well, that would be if it was pre-existing. If the way the code is structured, if there's, pre-existing nonconformities, if something was in compliance, the rules change, it's grandfathered and it's considered a legally non-conforming.
Right.
Well, I don't remember
Thing,
the
and-
pictures, if there was a curb there, or if there's an incline, if they're jumping the curb to get onto the grass, I don't know. That would
I
also.
just know that where we've had existing parking lots that otherwise would not be allowed anymore, we've allowed them to be repaved. But we've looked at a lot of properties where there wasn't a history of parking there. Parking's been added, and we've required it to be removed too, because it's adding something that's inconsistent with the code that wasn't there before. So if it wasn't there before, we wouldn't permit it.
Correct. It just seems odd to all of us that a single-family structure has no driveway and no
and it's
access
not allowed to have one?
whatsoever.
That's silly.
Well, I don't know exactly where this is within the downtown district. It's a redevelopment district. There's certain
So they're trying to
certain
push the single
areas.
families out by the redevelopment?
I don't know where this property is, so, there are single-family streets and they're designated as such within downtown as well, but I wouldn't feel comfortable at all speaking on
Fair.
what this particular street or this particular house was designated as.
Fair.
So,
It's just concerning.
Mr. Koenig, did you have
Thank
a
you.
picture of the driveway there before?
Well, actually, what it is right now, I have no picture of how it used to be.
Oh, I thought I seen you had a picture.
Daniel has.
Well, the only thing I can tell you, oh. Thank you. Can you see it?
No, one second.
Doesn't even look like the same house.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. And, I mean, what you can see here, there used to be a carport that they closed up at one point, and this is asphalt. I have a better picture where you can see the asphalt only. I mean, I understand that this is old and broken, but it is asphalt.
Right.
Yeah.
So does that allow him to be grandfathered in?
We're not
Obviously,
here
we're-
to answer that
We're
question.
not here for that part of it.
Yeah, we can't make
Danielle.
that decision. That's above our pay grade.
Determination that that's what I was thinking, it's always.
I mean, I'll do what,
Break the grass off and find the asphalt underneath there? Have you tried?
Someone is complaining about, there's a constant, that's why he's appearing here, is because there is a complaint for grass parking that is.
well,
keeps going up.
that came from the city as far as I know. I don't know if they, I mean, luckily, there were other people in the neighborhood that caused trouble, so I'm happy that the city was out there, because I want this to be a better neighborhood, right? So I don't mind that.
Are you saying that note was from the city?
No, it's not.
I don't know.
Well,
We had companies out there, I have quotes to make a driveway again, and when we went to the city to get that permitted, then we were denied, so I'll do whatever I'm asked. I mean, if it's clear that nobody can park there, we will make sure that nobody parks there. That's not the point.
We'll
I
just go
think we're
back and
gonna
get more
make the effort to
information.
try to work, you know, for you to try to work with the city to get a permit to put a proper driveway in. We
Yes.
support that, but, we're gonna hear from the inspector, his recommendations, and then we'll just determine what to do with this case.
Okay,
Thank you, Mr.
perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Board, did anyone have any other questions for me?
I just wanted to see the picture, if there was a curb or if,
This is what it
so
looks
you're
like.
driving over the sidewalk to get
There's no apron.
to the, yeah,
There might have been asphalt way back in the day, 80s and 90s.
okay.
The driveway's worn away, it wasn't maintained over the years, and now the whole yard is just dirt. We only allow grass parking, one spot, parallel and adjacent to a driveway. The driveway has to be made of concrete, pavers, or asphalt. If there's no other option available, the easiest fix is to just park in the city street. And you could park anywhere. If you park in front of, some people, it seems in this case, perhaps someone was angered by the fact that the tenant was parking in front of their property, maybe rather than their own. I do have several cases on several houses in the street over the years that I've been in this zone. There's another property in the street that also has grass parking issues because they too have no surfaces, and I'm dealing with them right now as well.
The goal of planning and zoning is that we have parking off the street. We don't want to encourage parking onto the street. That's why we have the rules that we have. Not consistent.
The only thing I can speak to today is, currently at this property, there is no parking surface. The only option as of right now is to just simply park the car on the street. If there's issues with people making threats, someone has to go to the police for that sort of thing. That certain people feel as though maybe they own the property, the street in front of their own home.
But you're encouraging, I believe he said that the tenant is a woman 80 years old?
I've spoken with a young gentleman at the property. I haven't seen anyone else. It's just, I've spoken with him and I explained to him the same thing. There's currently not a parking surface here. You would have to utilize street parking. At the time, he had one vehicle for sale. I explained to him, just get it sold as fast as possible because you can't also utilize public property to sell your
There's
vehicles.
definitely not two spaces there.
As of right now, it just doesn't have a parking spot. They just need the parking street for right now. If something can be done about a parking surface in the future, that'll be up to the owner and the city to figure out. I can't speak to any zoning laws, variance laws, or what you're allowed to build there, depending on what the rules are in that particular zone.
That encourages street parking, but that's a narrow street, period. And that's not a good idea. I know that street.
All I can say is that, like I said, as of right now, there's just no parking surface at the property.
That becomes a safety problem with all these cars parking out on the street on Pierce. You got people that's gotta go around them.
Well, the parking laws ask for anybody parking in the street, to not block anyone's driveway, to not block a mailbox, and
Well,
to
that's
stay 30
impossible
feet
on
away
that
from an
street.
intersection.
Pierce Street, the way that's set up.
I'd like
that's
to hear the
impossible.
recommendations
Yeah,
and
say the
then the board can decide where we're going.
Okay. The recommendations for 1476 Pierce Street, case number 75-22, is I'm requesting compliance on or before November 26th of 2022, or a fine of $150 per day per violation for each day the violations continue to exist. Asking the board to authorize the following. After 3 months from the recordation date of such lien, the fines and fees remain unpaid. The city attorney's office is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien using any legal or equitable remedies available under law. In compliance may be met for grass parking by creating a parking service for vehicles to park on or by utilizing street parking for vehicles.
Board, I'd like to see Mr. Koenig return on the 21st of
December.
December.
I'd say we make a regular motion for that, and then just that time, he can either have one direction or another direction. Either they're parking in the street,
That would give him enough time to
Or
talk
they'd
to the
be- or
city
they'd-
and
or they'd
figure
have a
out
driveway,
what
one of
he's
the two.
allowed to permit.
Okay, I move to enter an order requiring the respondent to correct the violations on or before December 21st, 2023. If the respondent does not comply by that date, the board may order a fine of $150 per day per violation for each day. Each violation continues to exist. If the fines and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'd like to make a motion that we continue this until December and see if the city and the gentleman can work out some sort of process to get a driveway installed. That was a motion.
I agree
For a
with that.
I'll
continuance
second that
until
one.
December?
I agree with that, I'm continuing it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You're off the hook for now. All right.
Well, Mr. Koenig, when you return on the 21st, we would like a definitive answer from the city about whether or not you can permit. Otherwise, we're going to vote, it's going to remain grass, and then there's not going to be parking allowed in front of the house. You're going to have the tenant park on the street.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thanks, everyone. Okay, it looks like case 8722 has been withdrawn. Case 105-22 finds respondents at 3267 San Mateo Street in violation of codes for permits. Is there anyone here to speak to this case? And your name and address?
Good day, I'm Bob Kenny. My address is 1469 Jack Randall Circle South here in Clearwater. I'm a general contractor for many, many years, and I clean up a lot of other people's messes.
Do you own this property at San Mateo?
I do not. I'm here to represent the owner. I have a letter.
Oh, you're representing the owner?
Yes.
Okay. And do you admit the violation?
I'm not sure how to answer that. I'm here to provide some data and ask for more time.
I would ask that the board hears from the inspector, and regardless of what this witness may say, you may.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll call you back, Mr. Kenny.
Oh, good afternoon, Board. I am Sam Swinton, the Housing Inspector for the City of Clearwater. This is case number 105-22, 3267 San Mateo Street. Today we have one violation of the Community Development Code, Section 4-203A1, Section 47.083, Paragraph 2. This is for installing a large shed. My notice of violation was sent out on March 22nd, 22. Certified mail receipt was received back on March 30th, 22. A permit application for the shed was submitted April 14th, 22, and the current status at this time is that it's in revisions needed. A FLS application was submitted on 5/22/22. The application set and the status, and it was withdrawn on 10/5/2022. Notice of hearing was sent on 10/25/2022, and the certified mail for that was received November 1st of 2022. So property is located on the east side of McMullen Booth Road, just north of Gulf to Bay or Courtney Campbell Causeway, and just west of Bayshore Boulevard. You can see by the blue area that the shed is being brought into the property on a trailer. On the north, that would be the west side of the property. This was done back in March. A little closer view of the shed that is being installed. On March 7th, I went out and they had set the shed in the back of the property at that time. Just took a few more pictures of that shed from the west side of the home. And I went out this morning. There's a gate now and a small shed on the west side of the property, but the large shed is still in the back by the indication of the blue arrow.
Looks like it moved even further back.
From this picture, it's kind of hard to determine if it moved, but I don't think it did.
Who withdrew there was a permit request and then it was withdrawn?
Yes, permit was actually submitted, and then the permit is still in active status, but it's in revisions needed status. I will have someone speak on the FLS, if you would like that.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Oh, right behind
Sure,
me.
behind
Yeah, right.
Hi, good afternoon, Lauren Matsky, Planning and Development. They did apply for flexibility through our code for the installation of the shed within the setbacks. They were requesting reduced setbacks for that. They made it.
Setbacks from the neighbor side,
From the rear. So the code has required setbacks for accessory structures, and they were requesting to have it closer to the rear property line than what is allowed by right. They went through the Development Review Committee process, and there were various questions and requests for additional information through that process. They did not reply. We sent them notification that if we didn't have a response to comments and action taken on that application by a certain date, it would be withdrawn. We did not hear from them, so it was withdrawn. And that is typical for our applications. So if they wanted to revisit that request, they would need to submit a new application for flexibility and start that process over again.
And it looked like it was done after the fact anyway, that the shed was delivered in March and then it was not.
Correct. Everything was delivered and installed without any prior approvals. So with the stop work order, that brought it to light. In order to place it where it was, they would have needed to request that flexibility. We started through that process, but it was withdrawn due to inactivity on behalf of the permit owner.
Okay, any other questions for Ms.? Thank you.
Oh, and I would just add, I don't know if the request would have been approved or not because we did not get the additional information that was requested. That was part of the details and requests for additional information, so I don't know in that regard.
Have the neighbors been complaining? Do you know, Mr.
I have not heard.
There were some letters of opposition received through the Development Review Committee process.
Okay.
I didn't bring those with me, though.
Okay, good to know. Thank you. Mr. Kenny?
So as I have seen in the past many years as a contractor, homeowners a lot of times don't know. They can move in what they can't, they do it, and then they find out they're in trouble, so they called me to help because this is the type of thing I do. So they did move the shed in. They did apply for a permit. This thing's a bit beyond the homeowner. He's in very poor health and is back at the hospital today. That's why I'm here. He's a former first responder, and I felt like, this guy's helped a lot of people, deserves a little help and consideration. So anyway, we spoke with Ella Crandall about what we needed to do. She gave us the data, gave us the form. We filled it out, sent it in, obviously per the record. I didn't get the email it was going to get canceled, and then I got the email it was canceled. I thought, oh, well, I dropped the ball,
In October?
So, I think 10/5 or 10/25, whatever, when it was withdrawn, I didn't know. I got the cancellation. I thought, all right, well, let's see what I can do to clean this up. I have called Ella several times. I did get one phone call return when I was in the field on a project, and I've called her back 2 or 3 times since, and I just want to talk to her about what do we need to do to get this reinstated, because one of the things on there was we need like a study from an arborist to ensure it wasn't going to affect the tree nearby, and a few other things. I went out and shot pictures, looked at a map of all of the other variances that have been allowed there, and I think there's some good arguments at the end of the day. And what we'd like to do is at the end of the day get some more time so I can get with Ella, get this application reinstated, get with her and see if we can resolve their concerns. There were 4 or 5 items, and I think there are excellent arguments toward getting this thing approved, but at the end of the day, if we can't, we'll get it moved.
What is it, on blocks right now?
It's sitting on blocks.
Just blocks?
Mm-hmm. The other thing that we ran into is, I know from my many years' experience, that the normal setback on the back of a property is 5 feet. In this case, it's 20 feet, and it just, with that, the shed doesn't work, so that's one of the things we're trying to get looked at in the variance.
How large is that shed?
I believe it's 11 by 30 or 31,
Yeah, it looks
which
pretty
is
big.
pretty good size.
Quite a big.
I know one of the stipulations on it was that it could only be used for storage, and that's exactly why he's got it. I think he's got elderly parents in the house, and they needed the storage room. And I know, from
No
my many
one's
years.
living in that shed, right, Mr. Kenny?
Pardon?
No one is living in that shed.
The homeowner says that,
Correct?
not, and if he's lying to me, I'll wring his neck. Because, I mean, no, from what he tells me, it's full of storage boxes. It's been a while since I've been out there, but, I mean, there's no water, there's no plumbing hooked up to it.
I see that.
There's no electric.
That was my concern.
Yeah, no.
That's still a pretty large shed for
The
human
minute,
storage.
the minute somebody's in that shed, I'm off it and I'm reporting it. I won't have it.
Okay.
It's, I'm here to help the guy get right, okay? So if I could get an extension, I'd like to get with Ella, like I said, and see if we can get this resolved. If not, you know, he was complaining about the fact it cost to move it in. Well, that's on him. It's gonna cost him the same thing to move it, but at the end of the
It's a
day.
big undertaking. I'm sure the homeowner appreciates you being here to agree to work on this for him.
Well, you know, it's what I do.
The adjacent property on the rear yard, is there a single-family home there, or what, who's in the backyard?
Oh, it's been a while. I Google mapped it. I also went out behind it. You have the trail, Green Wilson Trail or something behind it. Because one of the concerns was what the appearance of it was. And I shot pictures of houses all along there. You have pool cages, you have some with very high growth. It varies quite a bit.
Is there a fence back there?
Behind this shed, there's a 4-foot, and the owner's certainly willing to put up a 6-foot if need be, and we can help him permit that, and then plant additional foliage if needed.
It's on the property line?
I'm sorry?
The fence is on the property line?
I haven't looked at a survey, so I'm assuming it is. It looks like it would be. But, you know, if we're doing anything with a fence, obviously when we pull a fence permit, we've got to have a survey that'll show exactly where it sits.
Well, before we go down that path, let's figure out before they box it in any further.
Of course.
Where it's gonna have to go.
Well, and he stated to me yesterday on the phone that his wife was ready to plant more landscaping to make things look better. I said, let's see what we get at their hearing.
That's a good
See
idea.
what we need to do.
Good idea. Okay, any other further questions for Mr. Kenny? Let's hear recommendations from Mr. Swinton. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kenny.
Thank you.
Okay, for compliance to be met for the work without the permit, it'd be obtain a required building permit, schedule and pass all required inspections, or remove the structure. City's recommendation, case 105-22, work without a permit, requesting that a permit be issued on or before December 16th, or a fine of $150 per day for each day the violation continues to exist. We're also asking the board to authorize the following. After 3 months from the recordation date of such lien, the fines and fees remain unpaid, the city attorney's office is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien using any legal or equitable remedies available under the law.
I move to find the respondent in violation of the
Can we
code.
talk about this just for 1
We have to do the first motion.
Oh, sorry.
I move to find the respondent in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
December 21st.
They're just requesting the permit be issued by December 16th.
Yeah.
So apply for the new,
Office is backed up or anything? Is that gonna be enough time?
all it says is
Apply for
issued.
it.
I don't think the permit could, I mean, he could apply for it by the 16th, but I don't think that he will get it by the 16th.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Rich.
You want to make it January 25th?
Not with the amount of work that has to be done. The shed is sitting there. It's over the line. There's obviously a tree issue. There's a fence issue.
To send notices to neighbors.
Like, I don't think he's gonna receive it by.
January 25th?
Christmas Day, they're not gonna be open.
Sam, I'll bring it. Who wants to talk? Raised his hand.
Sorry, Mr. Kenny, you had one more thing to say?
May I offer something? But I know that based on my experience in dealing with trying to revive this thing with Ella, that when we did our application, there was a hearing. We're prepared to offer all of data. I just don't know what her timeline is like in terms of their review and their decision-making process. So my concern is that narrow window between now and the December 16th.
Yeah, that's our concern as well. There's no permit currently. It would have to be a new permit applied for, correct?
So it would be a new application requesting the flexibility for the setbacks. The next application cycle is the first business day of each month. So by noon on that business day, and then the development, it has to go through the whole process again because it was withdrawn. Again, it was withdrawn because of lack of response since July 7th to the time that we informed them in October. So it would start over. If it were applied for at the beginning of December, the Development Review Committee meeting would be the first week in January. At that point, assuming new responses are provided, he has the benefit of the already knowing the questions that we had, we would have that conversation there and determine whether or not that request could be supported. If it isn't supported, then it would be denied, and then we would be here.
So the
Where there would be-
January meeting
January
would probably
25th
be
would work.
more reasonable.
Well, he's had it since March.
Well, the owner, not this guy.
Board, hi, I'm Dana Root with the City of Clearwater, Assistant Building Official. The city believes the applicant has had plenty of time to work through the FLS process, or if you want to call that the variance process. There are two options for compliance. One is to get a permit, and the property owner has known that since they've received the notice of violation. We've been asking them to get a permit. The other option is to remove the shed from the property. And this large shed, as we call it, came in on a trailer. It can be taken out on a trailer. So we would like the compliance date to stay December 16th.
But how does the variance and the permit go together? Like is it applying for the permit for the structure or applying for the permit for the variance, or how does that go together?
The permit was applied for the building permit, the after-the-fact building permit. At that time, when the planning, when zoning reviewed that building permit application, that was when it was determined that it was in a location it could not be in. So it's kind of the evolution of it. In order to request it in that location, that then required the zoning application, which is the Development Review Committee process. Okay. So they need that approval, a development order from the city in order to go back to a building permit. If this had been, if they had come in to ask us, and I know not everyone knows even to do that, so this is not, atypical, but had they called in advance or stopped in, we would have explained, here's where you can place it without the need for flexibility. If you want to, you can request flexibility. Here's the process. If approved, you get what's called a development order, and at that point, you can take that and do your application for your building permit.
Lauren, in that vein, is there, in your opinion, or Mr. Kenny, your opinion, is there anywhere that this shed could go on the property that would not
Well, I
require?
don't think you can go out in the front yard, and that's about the only spot.
Because it's just so big.
It's,
just gonna be close to
The zoning district requires 15-foot rear setbacks for accessory structures as a by right, and then anything else encroaching into that 15 feet. This is this is the low density residential zoning district. This is our largest lot zoning district, so the character of yards and where their accessory structures are placed and what is considered, that is all very different from, other lots that are much smaller in the community.
Agreed, okay.
So the way I see it, he goes for a permit, he gets denied, it gets sent to the variance. They set whether he gets a variance or not, and then it goes back to building again, where he applies for a building permit, correct, with the variance attached.
More or less. The reason, the building permit's currently in revision needed status because it can't go where it is unless he gets approved. So they can revise the existing building permit if it were possible to fit it 15 feet off of the rear property line, or, they can remove it. That would be the other remediation.
Any other questions?
Can I offer one last thing?
Certainly.
I just would respectfully request the board to consider the fact that there's no harm in waiting, there's no ill effect created by waiting till January to see if we can get the variance done. And if not, that we know that means there's no permit and we're happy to move it. If we can get it done, then we're happy to go through the permit process and get everybody satisfied and satisfy any concerns about what we need to do to make the shed legal. It benefits the homeowner, and it satisfies all the concerns. If in fact we find out we can't do it, and they, we go through the, we go through the variance, and they say, well, no, we're not gonna allow this, fine, I'm telling the homeowner, you gotta move it. I just see no harm in that.
I'm not sure 60 days will make that much of a difference versus 30 days, but okay.
Well, if we get our application on the variance, or whatever you want to call it, flexible standard, back in the system, and we have a hearing the first part of January, they're going to tell us whether they're going to allow it or not. We're prepared to address all of their concerns, and I think at that point they'll tell us, okay, fine, pull a permit. We accept it or we reject it. If they reject it, we know we're done. We get it out of there.
What about a smaller shed? Would the variance be the same?
It's already got a small shed already.
The biggest problem I see is the depth in the rear of the property. There is no, if you move that thing 15 feet from the back, which in my mind is a bit unusual. I'm used to seeing a 5-foot easement, from, larger where you certainly have a major thoroughfare, but in most cases 5 feet for whatever reason. In this case, it's 15 feet. Now that thing is in the house. There's
5
just not
feet is
room
the
to do
side
that.
of the property, if it, 15 feet is the setback on the rear of the property.
Okay. Maybe something's changed. That's what I'm used to thinking with. Perhaps I'm incorrect. But, again, I mean.
Sometimes the variance change, that's the reason I'm asking that, with size.
I'm sorry?
Sometimes the variance can change with size.
I got you. This thing is, it's not a small shed. We either get it approved or it's out of there. There's no place else for it to go, and if they decide they want to do something smaller, that's up to them. I'm just trying to find a solution to make his existing thing work to save him the
Needs a lot of storage.
cost and aggravation and ill effects. So.
You're trying to help.
I am.
All right, any other questions for Mr. Kenny? We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for explaining all this to us.
You bet. Thank you for the help.
Board, I think we need to make a decision.
Board, may I say one more thing?
Oh, who's speaking?
Right here. The city has waited. We waited for the permit application to come in. We waited for the FLS application to come in. We waited for the responses to that application, and that brings us here. So we would prefer to stick with the December 16th deadline.
Mr. Kenny, how long have you been working on this project?
Since May.
Since May?
Since May.
Can I get a motion?
I move to enter an order requiring the respondent to correct the violations on or before December 16, 2023. If the respondent does not comply by that date, the board may order a fine of $150 per day per violation for each day each violation continues to exist. If fines and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
Is there a second?
A second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Oh, motion passes. All right. And that is it for new business.
A bunch of all at once. 2 pages of stuff.
Okay, we have affidavits of compliance. 5-1, case 185-19 through 154-21. Can we accept these all?
Yeah.
Okay.
You could do it one time, yes.
I move to accept the affidavits of compliance as listed.
Can I get a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sorry, I was
And
looking for the non-compliant.
regarding the affidavits of non-compliance, I'm sorry, case 41-22, affidavits of non-compliance, WRI Countryside Center LLC at 2561 Countryside Boulevard, number 4 for permits. Is there anyone here to speak on this? No, this is 5-2.
Good afternoon, again, board. This particular case came into compliance as of this morning,
Fantastic.
so we're going to withdraw that one.
Thank you.
Okay.
And 5722, Michael Monroe at 2572 Deer Run E for no active water service. Is there anyone here to speak to this? No, Mr. Swinton?
No, this case is actually still in violation.
If the board doesn't have any questions, can we,
I move to accept the affidavit of noncompliance and issue an order that imposes fines, fees, and states that fines and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed. The city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. And then 5-4 has been withdrawn. And case 150-21, accept the affidavits of noncompliance for respondents May Wren at 743 Fairwood Lane for permits.
She is here.
She's,
Ms. Wren?
Ms. Wren. You can come on up and tell us your name and address.
My name is Mei Zhen, and I live in 743 Fairwood Lane, Clearwater.
Okay. Do you want to tell us about the violation?
Well, I don't know. That is there? Where? I don't. Inside. It's still there. And the contract is no good. The one outside they done, they never show up, and the stolen things. I need to find a new contract.
Is this the apartment where we're splitting it into for
Yeah,
upstairs
this
unit
the
and
neighbor
downstairs
said
unit?
it's a 2 family. It's not 2 family, just myself. I have a lot of stuff, still myself. And the neighbor report, lots of false reported to the government that I have I tried to make it 2 family. I never want to make it 2 family.
But this is the one where the staircase is on the out, you had a staircase installed on the outside and the one inside was removed?
Still there, yeah.
Oh,
Didn't do anything, nobody inside.
nothing has happened, nothing has changed with the property?
No,
Okay.
I'm just looking for a new contract to get the
Okay.
license contract.
So we've been dealing with this one for a long time. You've been,
And the fence, they sent me a letter, said the fence is sitting there 2 years, it is use the government land. I hired a licensed fence company, not I did, I cannot do the fence. I passed the inspection for 2 years, and suddenly now I said my fence is on the government land.
So you're keeping the inside staircase and removing the outside staircase?
Outside the staircase is built up, inside not yet.
It's not what?
Huh?
The inside one's staying though, right?
Yeah, no. Inside not yet, not built yet.
Oh, it's not built yet?
No.
they removed
You removed it?
we can hear from the
Yeah, what was this one,
inspector.
the permit again?
Yeah. So you remember the property.
Kinda do.
I can just pull up PowerPoint and give you an idea of
Thank you.
what was the.
This one, we'll call you back. This one.
Let's go straight to the pictures.
Yep.
This was the exterior. At this time, she did get a permit for the exterior stairs. Permit was approved, and she did get that completed. I didn't take any pictures of the current, because I'm unable to get into her yard, so I was unable to get back there. As you can remember, this is what it looked like before the process of getting her permit. And this is the interior of the home from a Google Map picture that was taken from Realtor.com. This is how the staircase looked before. This is how it looks now.
Yeah, they were trying to divide this.
Right, they were taking this there because from my understanding, they were going to split the home into 2. That's why they put the rear staircase in.
Correct, I remember this. Okay, and so nothing has happened. And then when did this all begin? Can you remind us of that?
That's a good
The
question.
original?
It's been an old,
This is
it's 20,
Was it more than 1 year?
December of 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's
Damn, it's almost a year
still
old.
what it is.
right.
So it's almost a year.
So question on this, and we probably talked about it back then, but per code, I mean, I'm guessing this is an HOA community as well, I'm not really sure, but are you allowed to even split units like that, or does it depend on the zoning? Like, say that they wanted to do 2 units, is that allowed?
It depends on the zoning, and it's not allowed.
It's on the zoning, but it's not allowed here, but
Not
is,
allowed there.
I'm just asking in general, not just for this one.
Yeah, just the one person.
Ma'am, I just need you to come up to the microphone and speak.
So, like a single-family home, would that be allowed to be split in two?
One electrical bill, one water bill, one mailbox, and I never thought about make a two-family house. The neighbor just complained, said that I make a two-family. That's not true.
But Miss Nguyen, you cannot access the second floor now, the way you have it designed. You cannot access it unless you go into the new staircase. There is no access from the bottom floor.
Inside.
Right.
No, because myself, I don't have a lot of, just myself, I have a lot of stuff from New Jersey. I always put my stuff there.
But that is another unit. You have, if you cannot access your downstairs.
From inside, you shouldn't have to go
No,
outside.
yeah.
That doesn't
It's
make
not safe too.
This doesn't make sense.
So why are you doing it? Why are you putting a
Because I have a lot of things, I have many songs.
But wouldn't it be easier to move your things upstairs inside than having to go outside to move it upstairs?
I'm sorry?
Wouldn't it be, if you had a lot of stuff to store, wouldn't it be easier to move it upstairs inside versus having to go outside? So your
Same.
discussion doesn't make sense.
Right now, it's there outside is the same.
Oh, you got the permit, but they were not
And
built?
the wood is raw, is really, the termite inside is already like a barn, the barn house. How rough, we don't know. If you go there, you can see the wood inside, the wood is really, really rough. That's there.
Anyways, not making any sense.
But what's the reason I'm here, I just don't know.
All right, well, does the board have any more questions for Ms. Nguyen?
No.
All right, so,
Motion?
What's the
Yes.
recommendation?
Yeah, I guess I do have a question. So you have a permit to build the stair outside, and it's already built, correct? Is that what
Yeah,
I
it's
hear?
past the inspection.
And we gave her a permit to build those stairs, so that's kind of off the record. I mean, that's old news.
And you gave permit to build in the fence, and 2 years after, then said fence is already on the government land. I don't know, inspected, didn't inspect 2 years ago, did not inspect it.
this affidavit is for the work inside the apartment.
But this matter is like inside, not
Right.
like a fence.
I haven't been able to get access inside.
Well, you can go inside and look at, same thing.
Well, this is the second time I tried and see, when I got there, she wouldn't open it.
Why wouldn't you open the door?
Huh? I'm not home probably, and I go to New York, and the neighbor called the police, said he didn't see me for a while, and somebody live in my house.
I think that's the problem.
And the policeman said, I used a hammer hit that Chinese man. And when he stole my hammer, stole a lot of my stuff, damaged my air conditioner, damaged my washing machine, and threw me in the jail. And he's afraid, no criminal record. I have a bunch of criminal record.
What in the world are you talking about?
Huh?
Make a motion.
Make a motion.
It's a,
Make a motion, affidavit.
it's a history of neighbor dispute.
Yes.
Okay.
I move to accept the affidavit of noncompliance and issue an order that imposes fines and states, if fines and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien. We've got to fix this.
I second. Oh, second.
All in favor?
Wait a minute, discussion on the motion. Can we have that, please?
You want to discuss the motion?
Kevin, I believe.
Yeah. I'm Kevin Garrett, the building official for the city of Clearwater, and I was just going to remind the board that this case was already heard and decided, and this is really just a simple fact of yes or no, accepting the affidavit.
Yes.
Compliance, exactly, which we just
The
did.
case was over and heard, and the property is still not in compliance, so we're submitting to you the paperwork saying, no, it's not in compliance, didn't meet the date that's on the agenda, and that's simple as that.
So we just did the
Thank you,
affidavit
Kevin.
of compliance, so do we need to do the all in favor part again?
Yeah.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion passes. And
Craziness.
nuisance abatement. 2026-22 has been withdrawn.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
been withdrawn.
So just the one left? Wait, what's been withdrawn?
7-1's been withdrawn, you said?
Oh, I thought one
The
was-
fence, my fence is stand on the government land, and then why inspector let the pass, I don't know. I hired a licensed fence company. They did 2 years, about 2 years ago.
We
And
would
it al-
suggest that you work with your inspector, and while he's here,
Oh.
and you can speak with him about this
He's in
issue.
control, I think
Mr.
he's
Swinton.
inspector.
We don't know anything about the fence. You need to speak with your inspector about the fence.
Inspector?
Yeah.
Oh, because the inspector let it pass the 2 years. Then the neighbor called, then they said, they sent me a letter, said my fence is over. I called the fence company already. I really don't think it's my fault. Let the fence over. But I tried to remove in the back, because it's on the public land. That's not right. Move to my own land.
The fence issue hasn't come before us.
Yeah,
We don't know anything.
The city let it pass the 2 years. City supposed, the building department should not let the fence company pass because it's already standing on the public space, government land. Why they let it pass?
You need to speak to the inspector. This board only hears those matters that are before them and the fence.
What doesn't matter who's for? It's my property. My fence is over. I'll move back unless city want to sell to me that land. If I'll move my fence over.
I would just focus on this issue with the with
the
the unit, with
inside
the permit.
that
Correct,
it's still
yeah.
like that. There's a picture that the inspector showed. It's still that.
Yeah, work with your inspector to resolve it.
Oh, okay.
All right, so we got this case, right?
Okay. So case 107-22, accept the nuisance abatement lien for respondent South Tampa Trust LLC at 505 Virginia Lane for lot clearing. Is the property owner present, or is there anyone?
I have not had contact with a property owner. Good afternoon, Board. My name is John Stevens. I am a code compliance inspector for the City of Clearwater. This is going to be in reference case number 107-22 for 505 Virginia Lane for nuisance abatement. Number of violations is 1, code section of 3-1503B7 and B5A for lot overgrowth and accumulation of trash and debris. Posted the property on October 21st of this year with a compliance date of October 31st. Sent out on the same day of the posting, a certified letter that was actually returned to sender that we received back in our office on November the 7th. Here's our first picture of our initial posting on the 21st, and this is the condition of the property on that day. There's a little homeless camp in the back of it. This is actually a large lot that actually has like a cell phone tower installed on it. This is on November the 7th, so after the compliance day, showing that they still had not cut it. And actually the trash problem is getting worse.
And you have not had contact with him at all? Mr.
Have not. And then this is pictures from early this morning when I went out there, and it still has not been maintained. Now, as you can see in the picture, there was a work crew there, but that was actually a work crew doing work on the cell phone tower itself, actually taking some parts off and putting some new things on.
This is a commercial property. Any questions for Mr. Stevens?
No one here on it?
What is this lot zoned? What's the zoning for this lot?
It is right off of Gulf to Bay. I don't know exactly, but normally that area is commercial on Gulf to Bay, and those usually extend off a good ways, like in that first block. So I'm going to speculate that it is commercial, but I can't say 100%.
It's zoned to have cut grass.
Okay, any other questions? May I have a motion to accept?
I I move to order finding the respondent in violation of code and requiring respondent to correct the violations within 5 days of the board's written order.
I think he's not, are you on the nuisance?
Yeah, nuisance abatement.
This is nuisance abatement.
Oh, I'm
If the
on it.
respondent does not comply within the time specified, the city may take all reasonable actions, including entry onto the property, to abate and maintain the nuisance and charge the respondent with all reasonable costs, which will become a lien on the property. If costs, fines, fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Mr. Schmidt. Is there any more business to come before the board?
I make a motion that we adjourn.
This board is adjourned. Thank you.